This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Friday, the 5th day of March in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Leader of the opposition, Joe Harmon, has dismissed the president's position that he will only engage in consultation with him when he recognizes the president and the government as legitimate.
I offer my considered rejection to this notion. This is an absurd proposition and a continuation of the intransigence of the PPP regime in absolutely refusing to engage in dialogue. I am, as I've always been, and it's well known, since being appointed leader of the opposition, prepared to meet with President Ali in the best interest of advancing the cause of the Guyanese people.
The opposition leader's statement came in response to the president once again shooting down calls for the two to start consultations on issues of national importance.
It continues to be clear as day that the PPP regime and Irfan Ali has no interest in genuine consultation and dialogue. He has no interest in all Guyanese, who he claims to represent. He has no interest in one Guyana that he touts. He is purely and adamantly concerned only with being in power, and less than half of the Guyanese people who he claimed to represent as PPP supporters.
Mr. Harmon maintains that the Guyana Constitution does not set preconditions for any consultation and dialogue between the president and the opposition leader. He said the president must decide if he is really interested in putting the country first.
Mr. Ali and his handlers in the PPP can decide whether they want to put the country first, as I am prepared to do, or they wish to continue with their discriminatory, partisan and isolationist approach. I have stated from the outset, and I reaffirm now once again, that I am prepared to meet at a mutually convenient time in the interest of meaningful dialogue and consultation, and with a view to advancing the interests of the Guyanese people.
The opposition leader has repeatedly indicated his readiness to consult with the president on national issues. He said the government and the opposition must agree that constructive engagements be based on clear principles and broaden stakeholdership at the national, regional, and community levels. He wants the meetings to focus on poverty, ethnic marginalization, the protection of Guyana's sovereignty and patrimony, and the COVID-19 task force, among other issues. The opposition also wants the two sides to look at updating election laws. More news coming up in just a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class, or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Contributions online? Simply visit our website at www.nis.org.gy. Click on the Create New Account button and enter the required information. An automatic email notification will be sent to acknowledge your application. Once your information is authenticated, you will receive an email within 48 hours with instructions on how to access the site. Once logged in, you can click on the My Contributions tab on the left side of the screen to view your contributions. For further information, you can call our Records Department on 225-2798 or visit your nearest NIS office.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as Filaria. But what is Filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right. Walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL?
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
Welcome back. Guyana's Foreign Affairs Minister Hugh Todd has briefed the acting Assistant U.S. Secretary of State on the recent incursion by Venezuelan fighter jets over Guyana's Essequibo region. In a virtual meeting, Minister Todd also briefed the U.S. State Department official on the ongoing matter against Venezuela before the International Court and other related developments. Guyana was forced to issue a note of protest to the Venezuelan government following the Venezuelan Air Force's unauthorized flyover. Venezuela has claimed that its planes were conducting regular patrols. The fighter jets flew at a low altitude over the Ettering Bank community in Region 7, triggering concern from residents and a rebuke from the Guyana government. In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said regional stability, democracy, and the enhancement of bilateral relations between Guyana and the U.S. were also discussed. The statement said the acting Assistant Secretary of State, Judy Chung, conveyed her optimism for relations between Guyana and the U.S. and stated that the Biden administration is focused on democracy, values, human rights, and climate change. The two representatives also discussed the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the region and exchanged views on innovative and collaborative efforts and methods to stimulate recovery through private sector investment and the strengthening of institutions. They also discussed the Venezuelan migrant situation and Guyana's humanitarian response through the recent resuscitation of the Multi-Agency Coordinating Committee for addressing the influx of Venezuelan migrants and ongoing collaboration with international partners. Guyana and the U.S. established diplomatic ties back in 1966. The Ministry of Health is moving ahead with its planned vaccination program as it is preparing to receive another shipment of COVID-19 vaccines in the coming days. Earlier this week, the ministry received 20,000 doses of China's Sinovac coronavirus vaccine. Today, the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, said healthcare workers who will be administering the vaccines have already received refresher training. He also announced that booklets with information about the vaccines and coronavirus will be distributed to those persons receiving the vaccines.
We went back and we trained our healthcare workers how to administer this particular vaccine. And we had to develop some information booklets that when someone comes to get the vaccine, that they are also receiving information booklet that explains to them the vaccine, how it works, what are the possible side effects, who can get it, who cannot get it, and things like that.
In the past 24 hours, Guyana has recorded 30 new cases of coronavirus. There are 5 persons in the COVID-19 intensive care unit, and the number of active cases in the country currently stands at 425. The death toll remains at 200. On Saturday and Sunday, the Ministry of Human Services will be hosting a signature event called We Lift in celebration of International Women's Day, which will be observed on Monday. The We Lift event is built for the Ortachang Convention Center, and it seeks to empower women, according to Human Services Minister Dr. Vinya Prasad.
Where we choose to challenge various issues confronting women, and we work in having more women in leadership roles. So the event is focusing on the successes and strides that women have made.
Dr. Prasad said the event will also showcase what women are able to achieve outside of the workplace.
So when people come over there, they will be able to interface and engage with a number of women who own their own businesses. So we are celebrating what they've managed to achieve, women-centric businesses, women-owned businesses, and those women who would have gone through our cottage industry recently and emerged from there.
Additionally, it was revealed that several foreign missions and NGOs will be part of the exhibition, highlighting issues which are faced by women daily. All of the ministry's services will also be available at the event. The 2-day event runs from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and persons desirous of attending are asked to wear a face mask and follow all COVID-19 guidelines. This year's International Women's Day observance is being held under the theme Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. Turning now to the court, a Tugville man who is accused of beating and raping a Venezuelan woman after she refused to have sex with him has been slapped with rape charges and remanded to jail. 38-year-old Thurston Semple appeared before the chief magistrate this morning and was not required to enter a plea to the indictable charges. He is accused of raping the woman between the 24th and 25th of February at his Tugville home. It is alleged that he picked up the woman on the night on the 24th and took her to his home, where he paid her to have sex. However, the woman told the police that she was badly beaten by the man, and he held a knife to her neck while forcing her to perform sex acts and later raping her repeatedly. The court was informed that since the man was arrested and details of the allegations were reported in the media, other women have come forward with their own stories and allegations of rape involving the same man. He was remanded to jail and will make his next court appearance on the 11th of March. 2 days after being intercepted and busted by the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit with more than 100 pounds of marijuana, 2 persons from Berbice were today charged for drug trafficking. Appearing in court this morning were taxi driver Virasamy Armagun and Glasgow Village resident Alma John. The prosecutor told the court that on the 3rd of March, the 2 were nabbed with more than 100 pounds of marijuana. The woman was arrested in New Amsterdam while the man was nabbed along the Crabwood Creek public road. The court was told that the taxi driver was part of the plan to traffic the marijuana. Agents of the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit were monitoring the movements of the 2 accused on the day of the bust and followed them closely as they moved the large parcels of marijuana around the Berbice community. In court today, the 2 accused pleaded not guilty to the charges and were remanded to jail. The matter will come up again for hearing later this month.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people, we have
Weathered every storm.
And risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
That gives it its strength.
all the people,
Regardless of race,
class, or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Fuel it up and drive, super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as filaria. But what is filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then, since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Due to the impacts of the global pandemic, COVID-19 across our nation, essential organizations like us have chosen to adopt innovative approaches to meet the emerging needs of our customers while protecting our employees. Here are some quick tips to make managing your GPL bill easier while we practice social distancing. To register for electronic billing, you can use the e-billing tab on your website. To access your bill balance, you can use 4 options: the website live chat at gpl.net, the online inquiry on our website under billing, SMS Freedom by texting your GPL reference number to 624-0400 or 608-8400, or call our call center at 226-2600. A message from the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated.
Across the region tonight, Cuba has started late-stage trials of its most advanced experimental COVID-19 vaccine, edging closer to a potential homegrown inoculation that could help the Caribbean island nation contain infections and ease its economic crisis. The country started this week to recruit around 44,000 volunteers in Havana between the ages of 19 and 80 for its trial of the 2-shot vaccine, in which some will receive a 3rd booster shot with another Cuban vaccine candidate. If the vaccine proves successful, Cuba has said it will inoculate its entire population of 11 million with what would be the first COVID-19 vaccine developed and produced in Latin America. The country said it would also export the vaccine and offer it to tourists. Cuba has a long history of vaccine exports and medical tourism. Brazil's Supreme Federal Court has ordered an inquiry into the sale of protected areas of the Amazon rainforest via Facebook. It follows a BBC investigation, which revealed plots as large as 1,000 football pitches listed among the platform's marketplace classified ads. The court is asking the government to take the appropriate civil and criminal measures. Facebook has said it is ready to work with local authorities, but the tech firm has indicated it will not take independent action of its own to halt the trade. The Amazon is the largest rainforest in the world and a vital carbon store that slows down the pace of global warming. It is home to about 3 million species of plants and animals and 1 million indigenous people. And finally tonight, international news. Pope Francis has called for an end to violence and extremism on the first visit to Iraq by a pope. The pontiff is making his first international trip since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. COVID and security fears have made this his riskiest visit ever, but the 84-year-old insisted he was duty-bound. He also said Iraq's dwindling Christian community should have a more prominent role as citizens with full rights, freedoms, and responsibilities. He is hoping to foster interreligious dialogue, meeting Iraq's most revered Sheikh Muslim cleric, and will celebrate Mass at a stadium in Erbil in the north. About 10,000 Iraqi security forces personnel are being deployed to protect the Pope, while round-the-clock curfews are also being imposed to limit the spread of COVID-19. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, encouraging you to have a safe weekend.